Oh, right. Peeps, peeps, peeps. See if we can start getting some people in here. All right, start getting kind of set up here with the thing. And then I got a couple of these Job chapters. It's pretty cool stuff today. Again, similar to last week. It will be um, a continuation, basically, so to speak. Um, yeah, there is, however, a lot of things going on right now in this world. So I don't know how up to speed people are, considering there's only two people in the room currently. But there's it's nonstop. Nonstop and things that I can even it's just so crazy what's going on. I don't even know really what to make of a lot of it. Like some of the weird things Iran's doing. It's very strange. I don't know why they're attacking international airports in Saudi Arabia and um, just hit Saudi Arabia's airport again, and they just hit Dubai's airport earlier. Like I don't know. They've been blowing up random hotels. I mean, not random to me. I'm sure they have reasons for it, but just crazy. 8 different nations have been bombed by Iran. This is very strange. I just don't know what to make of it. Very strange stuff indeed. Um, chaos. Yeah, chaos. Khamenei's dead. So see ya. I think they've killed something. Saw the report. They killed a lot of leaders of Iran today. Khamenei for sure is dead. I think the president might be dead. I think that the former president, Ahmadinejad, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad, who is the president around 9/11 time. After that, he was a bad guy. Obviously, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on at work here. So I mean, I could probably just have to go. So just be aware of that. I might just have to leave. Um, yeah, let's see. Um, I don't know. It's been about 3 minutes. I think we can wait another minute or two, I guess. I don't know if I don't really know where people are right now. We'll wait a few minutes. Wait, excuse me. Got no rush. I'm really cold right now. I don't know why. But yeah, got some coffee. Okay. Just saw that he said he's gonna check on James. No worries. Um, yeah. Okay. See something here. Mhm. Yeah. With Mr. Scott and Stacy, I'm gonna message somebody, see if they're gonna join us. Um, um, let's see here. Okay. Um, all right, let's get it going here. All right, let's start with some prayer. I'm tired, guys. Sorry. I was trying to wait for a little bit, but it seems like it doesn't matter. Guess what? 'Cause it's live and people can always check. So sorry for the first 6 minutes of this video being kind of nothing. So let's uh let's pray real quick. Ow, sorry, I just ran my toe over with my chair. Give me a second. Oh man, that was so painful. Okay, let's pray. Father, we are coming to you at a very strange time. We are coming to you when our world is in this very strange, uncertain place. Seems to be uncertain, but I think those that do know where we are. And at least for this little time that we're about to have here on this, chat, let's uh let's try to stay focused on your word. Lord, help us stay focused. Help us stay focused on the task that we have here with Job and what it is we're trying to learn. Let us glean what you're trying to tell us. Um, yeah, amen. I'll do a different prayer at the end. I was going to go off on a tangent, but I'm going to do that. I'm spacey, so that was kind of a stuttery prayer, but we just get some focus going on here. So, Job 38. Um, so here's the deal. Sorry, we're on Job 39. That's what I meant to say. So let's get to Job 39, right? So if you recall, we've been going through basically God, well, Elihu kind of giving Job some information, kind of letting him know here's what's going on. And I'm being led by the Spirit, whereas these other three Yahoos were not. So he goes on a tangent and gives Job the 411. He gives some good information, good spirit-led advice and whatnot. And then God directly gets involved and starts speaking and basically saying to Job, okay, so if you think you got all these things figured out, right? Because remember, what we were dealing with was Job kind of saying, God, you're unfair and kind of not accusing him, but he's a little sore, right? He's sore at God and he's kind of getting a little ticked off and saying, it seems like you're being pretty unjust. I don't know what's going on here. Kind of giving him a whole gambit of things. However, the strange thing is God comes to him and he starts to give him a science lesson. We saw that first part about the natural laws of like science, nature, physics. So, Job, can you understand those things? No. Okay. Then he goes into the animal kingdom, gives him some more animal kingdom stuff. Job, can you understand those things? Are you able to do all these things? Well, no. Okay. Right. It's kind of where we are right now. We're at 39, and we'll just chip away at 39, and we'll get into some of the really good stuff here in chapter 40, 41. But let's get here and we'll read the first 6 verses of Job 39, right? Job 39. Knowest thou that the time when the wild goats of the rock bring forth, or canst thou mark when the hinds do calve? Canst thou number the months till they fulfill, or knowest thou the time when they bring forth? They bow themselves, they bring forth their young ones, they cast out their sorrows. Their young ones are in good liking. They grow up with corn, they go forth and return not unto them. Who hath sent out the wild ass free? Or who hath loosed the bands of the wild ass? Whose house I have made the wilderness, and the barren land his dwellings. He scorneth the multitude of the city, neither regardeth the crying of the driver. Last verse. The range of the mountains is his pasture, and he searcheth after every green thing. So first of all, he's kind of going through an animal pregnancy here, first couple verses, right? You know, who and that's just that one animal, right? But in all pregnancies of all animals and even insects, even though it's not a pregnancy, but in the reproductive cycle of all these creatures, who's sustaining all that, Joe? Who's creating all that? Who knows how they need this and that and this and that? And I do. Do you know how every single animal works with its reproductive system? No. Okay. He tells you in verse 5 and 6, 7 and 8 that God delights in the diversity that he has created, right? There are so many, everything's different, nothing's the same. Species to species, it's completely different. So, for example, this wild donkey he mentions in verse 5, right? Who has given the personality of the wild donkey, right? The wild ass. He likes being away from people. He just goes out and does his own thing. Doesn't want to be around anybody. Doesn't like it, right? Or even the personality of insects. He has given every single individual creature a different personality, right? I mean, you even see that amongst cats and dogs, right? Like in general, dogs like to be around and yada yada, but even dogs on the individual level are different, just like people are. So he's even doing that. He delights in this, right? Uh, let's read verse 9, 10, and 11. Will the unicorn be willing to serve thee, or abide by thy crib? Canst thou bind the unicorn with his band in the furrow, or will he harrow the valleys after thee? Will thou trust him, because his strength is great? Will thou leave thy labor to him? So this word unicorn is coming from the Septuagint in the Greek, and it's a wild ox. It's not the unicorn. Do not ask me why it's that. I don't know, but it's referring to an ox that is in the Middle East, and this particular ox is known as Orcus. And from what I understand, it's extinct in the Middle East. All right. It's not the horse with one horn. This is an ox, a wild ox, like a wild buffalo. Okay. Kind of makes sense when he mentions, you know, um, verse 11, will thou trust him because of his strength is great? Like I link great strength to an ox before I do a horse, right? Now, verse 10, let's go 10 to 15. Or, oh, I'm sorry, we already did 10, right? So let's go 12 to 15. Will thou believe him? Will thou bring home thy seed and gather it into thy barn? Givest thou the godly wings unto the peacocks, or wings and feathers unto the ostrich? Okay, now let's actually pause for a second. The ostrich. He's gonna address the ostrich and how strange and silly and goofy and everything about it is, right? And he delights in this. He made it. He doesn't have mistakes. He doesn't have, you know, what's left over here. All right, let's just jumble this all up and see what I get. Salad rolls. Everything is deliberate. By the way, can you imagine what it's going to be like when you get to heaven and you get all knowledge? Now, you're going to get knowledge about things that are going to be unreal. However, God, why did you make the ostrich this way? Like, what? Why did you make the platypus? And then he's going to tell you. And you're going to go, it's just cool. It's just cool. It really is. Not to mention we're talking, you think this is deep doctrine when we get into this stuff? Imagine his deep doctrine. Yikes. I mean, don't even get me going. So, sorry. Okay. So, let's talk about this ostrich here. Because even he's telling you, like, it's a weird animal. I get it. So, verse 13. Huh. Gavest thou? Hey, Job, check this out. Gavest thou the godly wings unto the peacocks, or the wings and feathers unto the ostrich, which leaveth her eggs in the earth, and warmeth them in dust? So they lay their eggs in the earth, and then they cover them up and they walk away. They forgetteth that the foot may crush them, so they forget that they even do that, and they walk around and crush them, or that the wild beasts may break them, right? Other animals trampling them around. Strange animal. She's hardened against her young ones. She's not a very good mother, as though they were not hers. Her labor is in vain without fear, right? Because God hath deprived her of wisdom, neither hath he imparted to her understanding. He just made her this way. Now, there could be more to this, I don't know. But he's telling you, I just made her this way. It's not a smart animal, and I love it. God says I love it. My animals seem to, many animals, by the way, point to his sense of humor. He does have a sense of humor. If everything of this creation is from God, so is humor. I mean, sin and evil is the only thing that wouldn't be from him. But apart from that, everything else is humor. Um, I mean, he even created sex. Sex isn't a sin. Sex isn't a bad thing. It's how we're carrying on everything, right? So even that's of him. Everything is of him. He loves it. It's awesome. Can you imagine what it's, when you're watching your kid kind of like do something, they're learning life, like when they're young, especially, and you're just watching, like, say you're at like a outdoor festival, like a pumpkin patch, and they're just there and they're painting the pumpkins and they're watching all the other kids and they're observing the other kid paint in a particular manner, and then they're like, all right, I'm gonna paint like that. They're just absorbing all this. Imagine God with us. That's how we live our lives. He's always in that kind of state of like, oh man, I love it. You know what I mean? It's really cool. I think about things like that sometimes, right? Think about the duckbill platypus, the camel, the elephant. These are strange animals, very strange animals, right? Funny little peculiar creatures. Now, let's go to verse 18. We're going to talk about a horse for a little bit. What time she lifteth up herself on high. She scorneth the horse as her rider. Hast thou given the horse strength? Hast thou clothed his neck with thunder? Canst thou make him afraid of a grasshopper? The glory of his nostrils is terrible. He paweth in the valley and rejoiceth in his strength. He goeth on to meet the armed men. He mocketh at fear, and is not affrighted. Neither turneth he back from the sword. The quiver rattleth against him, the glittering spear and the shield. He swalloweth the ground with fierceness and rage. Neither believeth he that it is the sound of the trumpet. He saith among the trumpets, Ha ha! And he smelleth the battle afar off, the thunder of the captains and the shouting. All right, hold on. The horse is a hailed animal in the world, right? Everyone hails the horse. It's more than a dog, right? When you think of a hailed animal, think of a dog. A horse is one. But look what he just said about this horse. It's fearless, it's loyal, it loves battle and conflict, loves competition. He's made it that way. It loves it. How cool is this? We're not, by the way, he's not talking just, this is not a person writing a beautiful poem. This is God talking. So what he's saying is what it is. Do you understand what I mean? I'm not, he's not giving you some sort of colorful, oh, no, he's telling me this horse I made, it's fearless, it's fierce, it loves to, trample or charge into battle. It's competitive. It likes that, we race horses. I mean, this is cool. Be- This, reading this, it's kind of giving me goosebumps. Made me view the horse differently. It's beautiful. It's amazing. It's one of the coolest animals. It just is, man. You look at it, it's beautiful, it's majestic, so useful, right? I mean, what a cool animal. Really is. That's what God's telling you about this horse. That's what the horse is. That's why he made the horse the way it is, right? It's just really cool. Now, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, right? Doth the hawk fly by the wisdom and stretch her wings toward the south? Doth the eagle mount up at thy command and make her nest on high? She dwelleth and abideth on the rock, upon the crag of the rock, and the strong place. From thence she seeketh the prey, and her eyes behold afar off, sorry. Her young ones also suck up blood to where the slain are. There she is. Now, again, he's going through a list of things there. God's provision for all animals is always there. We talked about this last, you know, he's providing for nature in a sense, like he's providing for creation, string theory, and atoms and protons and planks and all that. He's sustaining everything. He does it with plants too. Does it with insects. Does it with nature, Mother Earth, so to speak. Not that it's a real thing, but you know what I mean. He's providing for everything, Job, at all times. And you're gonna accuse me of being, you know, unfair, whatever the case may be, whatever it is Job's doing. Now let me show you something. Excuse me. Here's one example. There's a bird. Let's see what it looks like. It's called the golden plover. And this is a little dude. American golden plover, and then there is a European golden plover. It's a darling bird. He's adorable. And this is a little guy. Okay. It's small. Um, so, probably, you know, probably maybe smaller than like a pigeon for sure. It is. I'm looking at it. Smaller than a pigeon. Definitely. Actually, I can tell you, I forgot. I have my notes. So this bird normally is 120 grams. Okay. Now, just for quick grams to ounces, that's 4 ounces in weight. Uh, so that's a quarter of a pound. Okay. 4 ounces is a quarter of a pound. Okay. Hang with me. It's 120 grams normally, and it makes every year because of evolution. This bird's evolute. This bird evolved a stupid way, a very hard way for what I'm about to tell you. It flies from Alaska to Hawaii every year. Why? I don't know if you know how great the distance is between Alaska and Hawaii. There's this thing there called, oh, I don't know, the Pacific Ocean. It's gigantic, and they fly from Alaska to Hawaii because of evolution. Okay, so cool. Check this out. They're too small. They can't make that. How does this bird make this trip? Hmm, good question. It becomes a little fatty and it goes from 120 grams to like 250, right? The birds, because they migrate together, they take off. Now, through science and everything, they have figured out that the amount of wing flaps it takes one of those birds to get there is over 250,000 of this bird. 250,000 wing flaps, but that's continuous because they don't just take a break down in the water and float for the night. They just go. Okay. So they go from 120 grams to like 250 grams, and then they have to flop 250,000 times, on average, to fly all the way to Hawaii. How do they do that? They know innately when they're in their formation, right? Like, because most birds are flying with one at the head and the other ones are off. How do they know that, by the way? Evolution. That's stupid. Doesn't make sense. How do they figure this out, right? How did they figure that out through evolution? Doesn't make sense. Anyway, they're flying like this, the little diamond. When they're flying, somehow they know, hey man, I need a break. And they rotate. The flock rotates so that they can all make it. Huh? Head scratcher on that one. I'm sure it's just pure biological evolution. Sure. Also, how do they know the direction to go? Birds in general. You know how we use carrier pigeons? They used them in World War One to deliver messages, like to an extreme amount. They were so vital that they're like no jokes. There was a pigeon that got like awarded medals from the British Army because this son of a gun was just he was on it. They tie up and he'd make it. And back in the war when they would try to kill the birds because it's delivering messages. And there's a story about one particular bird that got shot and he still made the trip. Like he somehow got there, hobbled and cobbled and jobbled and whatever. He got there. I think he dies when he gets there. This poor little pigeon has delivered the message. How does it know where to go? How does it know where the guys are, the headquarters to come? It's crazy. This is crazy. Evolution. Mm. I mean, we don't know how these little golden plovers just. I don't know. It's just crazy, right? Now let's get into something very cool. Chapter 40. Job, chapter 40. This is a very important chapter, and it's a monumental chapter. We're gonna get through 40 today, 40 today, and probably 41, and then next session we'll only have one more. We'll be done with Job. As amazing as this is, we'll be done. So here we go with Job 40. Now, let's cover some things first. Okay, so number one, reminder, Job just got one heck of a science lesson, and he continues to get one, it seems like, but it takes a twist. This takes a twist. And we have seen before, times in our Bible, when we'll have one thing being talked about, but upon further studying or unraveling in other areas, it starts having multiple meanings, but at once. We've seen this. We're going to see that today, oddly enough, and in a really relevant way to what is happening right now. So, keep in mind that Job Okay, so Job sees his righteousness, right? But the only thing he saw was the righteousness, which is an external thing because it's how he's creating, or not creating, it's how he's living life and his testimony, so to speak, right? His outward testimony to the world is righteous. God tells you he was awesome, but that's only an external matter. So God's telling him, you're good, I get it, but your inside is way, 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 way the problem. That's what I'm dealing with, your inside. And because of this, you're unaware. You do not even know, right? So he just gave him all this nature lesson, then animal lesson, like gave him all this. Job, you're unaware of all these things. So who are you? Where were you when I did all this? Okay. So he's painting this picture to him. Okay. So we got God revealing this creative, amazing creative wisdom that he has. It's because the way he's created everything is so vast and like nothing at all is the same. It's a perfect creation. It is. It's amazing. It's beautiful. So cool. When you really just think about it, it's perfect. The creativeness of his creation, if I can say it that way. So cool. Just in the forces of nature alone, he's telling Job, right? That's all. That's one little smidgen of things that he's covering, not even the whole thing. Now, we're in Job chapter 40. Let's read a little bit. Let's read the first 5 verses of Job 40. Moreover, the Lord answered Job and said, shall he that contendeth with the Almighty instruct him? He that reproveth God, let him answer it. Then Job answered the Lord and said, behold, I am vile. What shall I answer thee? I will lay mine hand upon my mouth. Once I have spoken, but I will not answer. Yea, twice, but I will proceed no further. Pause. God says, first 2 verses, so you're going to instruct me? And then verse 3, 4, 5, Job says, not even in your league. I acknowledge that. I acknowledge this. However, he has listened to God, but he's not convinced. We're going to see this play out, which is strange, right? So once again, it's going down. Look at verse 6. Then answered the Lord unto Job out of the whirlwind. Remember the whirlwind from last session. That's how he presents himself to us, apparently. Otherwise, we just can't take it. Look at verse 7. Again, gird up thy loins now like a man. I will demand of thee, and declare thou unto me. It's going down, dude. Let's go, buddy boy. We're getting ready here. All right. Let's read verse 6, 7, and 8. Then answered the Lord unto Job out of the whirlwind and said, gird up thy loins now like a man. I will demand of thee, and declare thou unto me. Wilt thou also disannul my judgment? Wilt thou condemn me, that thou mayest be righteous? Hast thou an arm like God, or canst thou thunder with a voice like him? Deck thyself now with majesty and excellency, and array thyself with glory and beauty. Cast abroad the rage of thy wrath, and behold, every one that is proud, and obeys him. Look on every one that is proud, and bring him low, and tread down the wicked in their place. Hide them in the dust together, and bind their faces in secret. Then I will also confess unto thee that thine own right hand can save thee. Wait, hold on. So now he's bringing in moral judgment into this, right? We went through the nature. This is how I sustain nature. These are how I sustain, the weather, animals. Here's the other like side of this, right? Moral, like the moral judgment of mankind. He's saying, take my throne. What would you do if you were me? Hot shot, right? Can you handle the moral government of the earth? Right? Job just said, I'm not even in the same league as you. I can't even take care of the animals or nature and sustain it like you can. Okay? All right. So, okay, then what about the moral realm, so to speak? Right? Where you've been saying, by the way, Job, that I'm at fault. You've been taking issue with, you weren't taking issue with how I treat birds. Right? So rhetorically, he's saying, get on the throne. See how you handle it. Let's see. Okay. Now, we left off on verse 12, right? No, verse 14. Notice verse 12, 13, 14. Look on one that is proud and bring him low and tread down the wicked in their place. Hide them in the dust together and bind their faces in secret. So pride's the issue. Pride is the core issue of all of the sin and the fallenness of our everything because Satan had pride. So we're going to start to see God unravel all this now. Let's pause here. Verse 14, we're paused. Listen. Excuse me. Remember, this is the oldest book in the Bible. This is older than Genesis. Understand what I'm telling you. The first 5 books of the Bible, Genesis, Exodus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, Leviticus, I believe that's the order. That's the Pentateuch. It's written by Moses. This man, Job, is before Moses. Most people think he was around during Abraham. Okay? That means he's before Moses. So he's after the flood. So this would be realistically the first written account from somebody there at that time. Right? You can't say Genesis because it's about Abraham, but Abraham's not writing it. Moses is, however, 1,000 years later wrote it. This book is being written then. So hear me out. We're about to talk about 2 amazing creatures. These are like the supremest creatures of all. There's a land one and a sea one. They're the ultimate land animal and sea animal. This is the oldest book in the Bible. Um, the Bible describes a lot of animals, but it really goes into details specifically about these 2, big time. Now, these animals appear to be gone, as in extinct, but they didn't it may not have been during his time, um, Job's time, right? So let me back up here. Dinosaurs. Well, yeah, the dinosaur thing's kind of a touchy subject. So it's crazy that we think that this these animals were born millions and millions and millions and millions of years ago. You know, they do not know this. That is not true. That is conjecture. They do that by carbon dating, which is not a science. They even admit it is a terrible, inaccurate, and wishy-washy measurement of guessing the age of something because it's based off of the atmosphere. And the atmosphere has changed over time. The Bible tells you that. So, with all that said, I am not saying that the dinosaurs got on the ark. I am not saying that they made it through the flood because I don't 100% know. But some things survived the flood that lean towards this dinosaur realm. And I don't mean crocodiles. Just hear me out. When you do more reading, you're going to, okay, so for example, we're going to talk about an animal here called behemoth. People say, oh, it's a elephant, it's a hippopotamus. No, it is not. Only a dumb person would say this because what I'm about to read to you does not describe this animal, right? So hang with me here. Now, verse 15. Now listen, God is talking about this animal as if Job knows what he's talking about. So listen, they don't know what dinosaurs were back then. Apparently, right? If we're gonna say what the world tells us, oh, millions and millions and millions of years, then how do they know about dinosaurs? They don't. They do not know. They do not know. It is common knowledge that dinosaurs didn't really start becoming a big thing and start getting dug up in a thing to like the 1800s. That is known. That's not a guess. That's like a thing. It became a thing in like the 1820s. I think some Englishmen really started this wave of dinosaurs. Okay, so with that, that's not to say that in human history's past, people haven't come across those dinosaur fossils. They have, and there are records of that, but that's it. They're like, I don't know what this is. Okay. With that said, um, God's talking about this animal to Job as if he is aware of it. How could he be aware of a T-Rex? Right? See what I'm saying? How? Okay, so just, let's go on this together here. Just listen. Verse 15. Behold now, behemoth, which I made with thee. I made him with you. He eateth grass as an ox. Lo now, his strength is in his loins, and his force is in the navel of his belly. All right, stop. The word behemoth in the Hebrew means beasts, as in plural, land beasts, as in plural, right? It's telling you he is very powerful. He is the largest of all land animals. He's impossible to capture. What animal is this? It's an elephant. Okay. Read verse 17. He moveth his tail like a cedar. That's a tree. What animal on planet Earth has a stinking, does an elephant? Have you seen the elephant tail or the hippo tail? It's pitiful. I see people with rat tail haircuts that look like the same thing that's on an elephant. It is not a cedar. It is not a cedar. But by the way, keep in mind that we're getting into this area of like myth and legend and all that. Doesn't talk about myths and legends or figures of speeches. In this moment right now, he is describing something in detail that he has created. Okay, so behemoth, all right? He moveth his tail like a cedar. The sinews of his stones are wrapped together. His bones are as strong as pieces of brass, and his bones are like bars of iron. He is the chief of the ways of God. He that made him can make his sword to approach unto him. Okay. Verse 15, he mentions that I made this behemoth with you, right? So usually in the Bible, when we see God talking, it's like a secondhand account, like Moses is recounting what, right? This is him directly speaking. Very interesting. Verse 19, chief of the ways of God. Now, this description could fit some sort of dinosaur, possibly. We don't know. But this is some animal that seemingly isn't around today anymore. We don't know. But this is also going beyond an animal reference. So remember, we got layers of meanings here. We have this real creature. It's not a symbolism, it's not euphemism. No, it's real. But we also have another layer with something else going on, all right? Verse 20 through 23. Surely the mountains bring him forth food, where all the beasts of the field play. He lieth under the shady trees, in the covert of the reed and fens. The shady trees cover him with their shadow. The willows of the brook compass him about. Behold, he drinketh up a river and hasteneth not. He trusteth that he can draw up a Jordan in his mouth. Okay, listen. Number one, fens, verse 21. Fens means swamps. Okay. Elephants don't live in swamps. We'll start there. Elephants also don't drink up rivers. It's not talking about the Jordan River. It's more so using it as a Hebrew expression like, uh, I don't know. I'm so thirsty I could drink the Pacific, right? You see what I'm saying? But it's telling you that this creature is just so gigantic that like running waters, it just devours it. Gone. Swallow a river whole, right? This thing is huge. Now, we have a lot of we'll say myths and legends, right? Like Bigfoot and other things like that. Now, I'm not now listen, God didn't create Bigfoot. Things like Bigfoot, mermaids, and sirens, and vampires, and werewolves, all those things, they are real, but they're from the fallen angels, and they were right. So just hang with me, though. We still have these stories and legends. You can do some Googling. I did light Googling and found this in the Congo and in Zaire. In the Congo and Zaire, there is a swamp there. It's 55,000 square miles of swamp. And there are still to this day reports of like dinosaur-like creatures there. Maybe not as gigantic as like a T-Rex, but there's still things there. And like there's photographs, there's like you can do some serious studying and it's not like this sensationalized hoax. No, no, no. There's something there. I don't know what, but there's whispers still to this day. Okay. Now, verse 24. He taketh it with his eyes, his nose pierceth through snares. Now, this creature seems like a serpent as well, right? If you recall in Genesis chapter 3, that serpent that came to Eve, it was called a Nakash, which is Hebrew for the shining one. Well, isn't Lucifer known as the light bearer? I mean, there's some weird stuff going on here, right? So we're going to come back to this and talk about this more in detail. We're going to go to chapter 41, and we're going to talk about the Leviathan. And then we're going to talk about both of these creatures. And we're going to uncover some strange things upon it. Okay? Now, again, he's describing these things to Job as if he knows what they are. If he says to Job, what about the T-Rex? Job would not know what he's talking about, most likely. Do you see what I'm saying? So he has a frame of reference. He understands. He knows. All right. So, um, sorry. Now, why is it doing that? Okay. Chapter 41 of Job. Canst thou draw out Leviathan? So remember, this behemoth animal is a land. Now we're getting this water one. Canst thou draw out Leviathan with a hook, or his tongue with a cord which thou lettest down? Canst thou put a hook in his nose, or bore his jaw through with a thorn? Will he make many supplications unto thee? Will he speak soft words unto thee? Will he make a covenant with thee? Will thou make him for a servant forever? Will thou play with him as with a bird? Or thou bind him with thy maidens? Shall the companions make a banquet of him? Shall they part him among the merchants? Canst thou fill his skin with barbed irons, or his head with fish spears? Lay thine hand upon him. Remember the battle. Do no more. Okay, hold on. So Leviathan, right? This is a water animal. It's a sea dragon. This is listen. People say it's a crocodile. It is not a crocodile. God's telling you what you cannot do with this animal. Draw it out with a hook. I can draw an alligator out with a hook or a croc. Yeah, I can do that. I mean, it'd be a pretty decent sized one, but I can do it. It's not a whale either. This is not a whale. We'll get into that. So Genesis 1, verse 21, the word whale. In the Hebrew, it's tanin, which does mean whale. However, in the 20 other places that that word tanin is used in the Bible, it's used in terms of dragons or a sea monster or a serpent. So the point is that that word tanin is not exclusive to a whale only. It's a generic term, right? Large creatures, large sea creatures, or serpents or dragons. Okay. And here's the other thing: this dragon thing, they're real. Dragons are real. Dragons are real. Dragons are real. Just hear me out. If they weren't, why do we have bar none? There is one creature that is in every culture, from Japan to England. It's dragons. Why? Okay, let's think about this. Let's talk about this. Again, I don't know if during Job's time, when we're talking about these creatures, that these animals are extinct. It does seem that the text is referring to animals that are extinct in our time, at least. Seem to be. But there are still weird reports that do come in, right? For example, I mentioned the Congo and Zaire, that swamp. There are scientific journals, scientific magazines, all these things from all over the world and from reputable people and people with good reputation and get right and what's what I'm looking for? Organizations with that go to these places and they're like, there is some right. So there, it's not like me and Scott pointing like found Bigfoot, brother. No, these are very respected. They find these things, not the whole creature. They find very strange and weird evidence that there's still things out there. Okay. I Googled this because this was part of this. In 1977, a man in Japan found what looks like a plesiosaur. A plesiosaur looks like a dinosaur that's in the ocean. It's got like, Google it whenever you get the chance one day. Type in 1977 Japanese fisherman finds plesiosaur. And there's a photograph of it. It was like 40 feet long, 900 pounds. And they find it because it was floating, this carcass. It was a carcass. It was all like jacked up, like decayed. And they like on their little fishing boat, they brought it up on the hook. It was so heavy that it was like tilting the boat. They brought it up, took pictures of it, they examined it a little bit, but they had to drop it because they couldn't bring it back. But like it wasn't a hoax. It's a real thing. It's very interesting. All right. So I say all that. So verses 1 through 7, 1 through 8, right? Can you tame this creature, Job? Can you make him a pet? Can you play with him? Well, no, it doesn't exist anymore, God. No, 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 no. That's not what you, because he doesn't say anything like that. He's just acknowledging this fact, right? Let's look at verse 8 to 12. Lay thine hand upon him. Remember the battle. Do no more. Behold, the hope of him is in vain. Shall not one be cast down even at the sight of him? None is so fierce that dare stir him up. Who then is able to stand before me? Who hath prevented me that I should repay him? Whatsoever is under the whole heaven is mine. Okay. This amazing, just the greatest sea creature. He is so fierce. How fierce is he? Verse 10, none is so fierce that they dared to stir him up, and no one can tame him or whatever. But I created him, Job. Look at the second half, verse 10. Who then is able to stand before me? Who has prevented me, verse 10, that I should repay him? Whatsoever is under the whole heaven is mine. God's like, even this creature I control, right? Verse 12, I will not conceal his parts, nor his power, nor his comely proportion. Who can discover the face of his garment, or who can come to him with his double bridle? All right, listen, keep going, actually. We're going to go down to 18. Who can open the doors of his face? His teeth are terrible and roundabout. His scales are his pride. His scales are his pride, shut up together as with a close seal. One is so near to another that no air can come between them. His scales, right? They're so tight that air can't get between. That's not a crocodile. Have you ever seen a crocodile? Of course, its scales look like the back of a keyboard. They're like blocks. It's not a crocodile. He's not describing a crocodile. It's also not a whale. They don't have scales. I mean, they're also not fierce. That no one goes near them. It's not a shark. They don't have scales. Right? Verse 17. They are joined one to another. They stick together. They cannot be sundered. Verse 18. By his neesings a light doth shine, and his eyes are like the eyelids of the morning. Out of his mouth go burning lamps, and sparks of fire leap out. Pause. Again, we have global myths, mermaids, cyclops. But the one global myth that's unanimous is the dragon, the Leviathan. It's this. Now, this writing in this chapter is not some beautiful poetic license that this author is just making. This isn't a myth. So, verse 19, out of his mouth go burning lamps and sparks of fire leap out. So this thing breathes fire? Well, this is the real creature God's talking about. This is not a fake creature. This is a real creature that God's talking about. You can discover this too, your own. All these things. Go back, rewatch this video, go check stuff out. You know, scientists are starting to discover dinosaurs with very weird things in their skulls. They have these strange cavities. They think that there's some sort of chamber. And there's starting to be speculations and conjecture that it's some sort of mixing chamber where some sort of chemical thing would be mixed in this chamber of the skull, and then they would shoot it out and it would combust. And it could catch fire. Oh, come on, Ian. Well, we have animals that do that right now that are alive. There's a beetle that does that. It shoots out of its like abdomen a chemical that like basically is boiling liquid gas thing that burns the person that's trying to or thing that's trying to get it and makes smoke so that the thing goes oh and then the beetle runs away. It does this through a chamber. It's called a bombardier beetle. That's a real. I mean, everyone's seen this. This isn't like some news. We know this, but it has a chamber that whenever this thing gets into oxygen, this happens. Right? Evolution created this chamber for this creature, this weird chemical compound to just the dumbest people think this. I have legitimate concern for somebody who believes in evolution. Like I have concerns about other things that they do in life because they're dumb. Now, we have found other dinosaur and animal skeletons that are like that have these chambers. We don't know. We don't know. I also want to point something out. The dinosaurs you see are never, ever, almost never, ever completely intact when we dig them up. We are guessing what they look like when we put them together almost all the time. Almost all the time. When you go to a museum, that's not what it looks like. We guessed. And a lot of that is the bones. It's molding. We make mold. We recreate. This is known. This isn't like an unknown. It's conjecture. Now, the word dragon comes from the Greek word drakon, which is a word that in the Greek means any large serpent. Drakon, Greek, any large serpent. Dinosaur, Greek, means a terrible lizard and it also alludes to it being extremely large. So this strange lie that we have that dinosaurs are millions and millions and millions of years old, and that's a lie. They're liars. They died in the flood. We know this because they're in all over the earth, massive graves where sediment just rapidly covered them. How do you know it rapidly covered them? Because this one dinosaur was mid-birth. It was literally giving birth as this happened. That's how I know. Mammals giving birth, covered by sediment, and spared life. Die like that. Mid eating. That's rapid. That wasn't, I'm going to stand here for 500 years and slow. It's stupid. They cannot explain that. I can. Genesis 6. I can explain that. A rapid, catastrophic global problem happened, and it covered these animals. It's a flood. It's like, landslide. It's okay. Right? We have to explain this prevalence of dragons in our literature and culture all over the world. How is it that we have the same stories about all these cultures going back that far, but they never were connected? It's only modern times that we're not connected. It wasn't like trade routes were prevalent and fast. No, they had knowledge. Why? It's weird. Well, again, I mentioned the dinosaur things. I didn't start noticing dinosaurs till the 1800s. Like, this is when that became a thing. So in like original, when you go back into like dragon mythology, it is a serpent with like legs, like four, like two legs, two arms, like right, four legs. It's not like, yeah, that's kind of like the origin of it. In the Middle East, it's a symbol of evil. In Egypt, it is some sort of god that is the serpent of the world of darkness, right? The Greeks and the Romans put dragons on their ships and shields to scare people. Europe has the dragon, or I mean, England at one point. Why do all these very different cultures, where did this come from? How did they know about the same creature that was apparently extinct, but we all know about it? What? This is weird. The most obvious, prevalent dragon thing was China. That's obvious. Like it's all over the culture. That's like a bread and butter of their culture. When I think of the dancing dragon, I think of China, right? So they had like a lot. You can Google this. They have like a lot of different dragons. They have one that like guards treasures and all these stupid things. Doesn't know. But they have one in particular called Shen Lung, and it is known as the spiritual dragon. Okay, listen, Shen Lung, it's known as a spiritual dragon. Japan also has a similar spiritual dragon. In both of their cultures, do you know what this dragon does? This dragon controls the winds and the rain and the air. And they refer to this dragon as the power of the air. Hmm. Okay, that's weird. I feel like I've heard that before. Maybe I have. We'll get to that later. Now, in the book of Revelation, you got these horns being blown out, or the scrolls being opened brings wrath and judgment. The horns, right, and then the bowls. The very, very, very last bowl, right? Because you got horns, you got seven scrolls, seven horns, seven bowls. What's the very last bowl? The last bowl of wrath that's poured out is on the air. It is poured out on the air. That's what it says. We'll go to that. We're not gonna go there right now, but we're gonna go there. The last wrath, judgment of God is poured out onto the air. Huh? It's because Satan is known as the prince of the power and the air. Excuse me. He's known as the prince of the power of the air. Excuse me. Which is weird. Why does Japan and China have this dragon that's called that? And they prefer. This is strange. Okay. Now, Leviathan is definitely a real animal. It's not a myth. So, with God explaining these two creatures to Job, could it also be that he's also explaining Satan? We got two dual meanings going on here. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay. So give me a second. Another reason why the Leviathan is a real animal. You do not have to go there. I'm just going to tell you and read you the sentence real quick. In Psalm 104, I'm going to read you verse 25 and 26. So is the great and wide sea, wherein are things creeping innumerable, both small and great beasts. There go the ships. There is that Leviathan, whom thou hast made to play therein. What? This mythical creature that God made? No, it's a real one. How do I know it's real, Ian? O Lord, how manifold thy works and the wisdom thou hast made them all. The earth is full of thy riches. So is this great and wide sea, wherein are things creeping innumerable, small and great. There go ships, there is that Leviathan, whom thou hast made. God made a myth? God made a legend? No, he made a real thing. Okay? That's Job. That's Psalm 104, verse 24, 25, 26. All right, now listen, we're going to go back to Job 31. We're going to keep going because this is cool. All right. So, verse 19, out of his mouth go burning lamps and sparks of fire leap out. Now, watch. Find the transition. Find the transition. Find where we go from talking about this animal to, are we still talking about this animal? Just watch. Verse 21. Sorry, verse 20 of Job 41. Out of his nostrils goeth smoke, and out of a seething pot, as out of a seething pot or cauldron. Okay. His breath kindled coals, and flame go out of his mouth. Okay. Right. We've covered that. No problem. In his neck remaineth strength, and sorrow is turned into joy before him. The flakes of his flesh are joined together. They are firm in themselves, they cannot be moved. His heart is as firm as a stone. Okay, it's weird. As hard as a piece of nether millstone. When he raised up himself, the mighty are afraid. By reason of breakings, they purify themselves. The sword of him that layeth at him cannot hold, the spear, the dart, nor the habergeon. His esteem iron as he esteemeth iron as straw. So iron is like straw to him, and brass is like rotten wood. Verse 28, the arrow cannot make him flee. Sling stones are turned with him into stubble. This creature is amazing. This creature is like, you can't do anything to him. Nothing can destroy him, capture him. He's the ultimate beast. This is a real animal, right? God's telling you. Verse 29, darts are counted as stubble. He laugheth at the shaking of a spear. Sharp stones are under him. He spreadeth sharp pointed things upon the mire. He maketh the deep boil like a pot. He maketh the sea like a pot of ointment. He maketh a path shine after him. One would think the deep is to be hoary. Upon the earth there is none like there. Upon the earth is not his like, who is made without fear. He beholdeth all high things. He is a king over all the children of pride. What? Oh, we're talking about an animal. Mm. Hmm? Huh? He is the king over all the children of pride. Okay, let's go. Deep learning. Go to Isaiah chapter 14. Isaiah chapter 14. I want you to turn there. What's going on here? Now, now, Isaiah chapter 14. I want to point something out. What you just read in Job 41. Listen to me. What you just read in Job 41. We're talking about Leviathan, this creature, this creature, this creature, this creature, this creature, this creature, this creature. And then we blend to something else, but flawlessly. What? It's not like he's talking, he's like, anyway, check this out. So, no, 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 no. Isaiah 14. We're going to look at two books, Isaiah and Ezekiel. Now, before we go into it, no one sitting in this video right now should have any question that the end of Job 41 blended that Leviathan into Satan. Okay? It did. You know that. You know you did. You don't need me to tell you that. You already know. But listen, in the chapter of Isaiah 14, the first like 12 to 13 verses in Isaiah 14, Isaiah is talking about the actual king of Babylon and how he has fallen, a historical thing that really happened. He's prophetically talking about this. And then this really happens. But watch the transition flawlessly. Watch. Babylon. Babylon. Well, that's what we're talking about. Isaiah 14, verse 12. How art thou fallen from heaven, O Lucifer, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into the heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will also sit upon the mount of the congregation in the sides of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Okay, wait a minute. Did you notice? The first 12 verses, first 11, good to go. And then we transition into Satan. It did not change the subject. It's linking. It's telling you. Look, verse 15, 16, 17. Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell, to the sides of the pit, that they shall see thee. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, Is this the man that made the earth to tremble? That did shake kingdoms? That made, wait a minute, Satan's not a man. Remember, this is talking about the king of Babylon, but remember, there are powers behind these leaders. Satan is not a man. It's seemingly applying both the actual king of Babylon and Satan to this situation, right? Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell. Who? The the king of Babylon. He's also referring to Satan. This is prophetic. Satan hasn't gone to hell yet. Do you see how this is two timelines happening at once? Well, how's that possible? Because God's not in our timeline. He's in all time. He's outside of time. I mean, this is crazy. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, Is this the man that made the earth to tremble, that did shake kingdoms, that made the world as a wilderness and destroyed the cities thereof, that opened not the house of his prisoners? All the kings of the nations, even all of them, lie in glory, every one in his own house. Stop there. Now, very strange, right? I want to also point something out. Look at verse 14. Read verse 14 again. What is he doing in verse 14? What's the goal? Ow, my finger. He says, I will be like. Does he say, I will be God? That's not what he says. He says, I'll be like. Listen, what is the Antichrist? We have this notion that the Antichrist is a rival of Jesus. He's like a 180. That is not, couldn't be more silly of a statement. Because how can Jesus Christ, the creator, even have a rival? He doesn't. He is everything. He is the creator. The Antichrist is not the rival of Jesus. He's not a 180. Antichrist in the Greek, it's basically mean in place of. It's a pseudo Christ. He's trying to be like him. That's why, listen to me. You want to make an exhaustive list of all the things that Satan does throughout all time until now and until the end of time that is trying to mock, not mock, copy. Well, yeah, it's also mock, but copy God. He's trying to do everything to copy him. That's why he will have a mark. That's the seal that the Holy Spirit gives you. His will be a seal. It will be the mark of the beast, right? I mean, it's endless. It is absolutely endless. All he does, he's not original. He can't create anything. He's a copycat. He wants to be like him. He's infatuated with him. He wants to be like him. He doesn't want to be better than him. He doesn't want to be him. He wants to be like him. So he's copying everything. This is crazy. Now, look. So we just talked about Isaiah 14. I want you to go to Ezekiel chapter 28. Ezekiel chapter 28. I also find that 14 is a multiple of 7. So Ezekiel 28. That's 28 is a multiple of 7. Very interesting. Just something cool. All right, Ezekiel chapter 28. Okay. All right. Let's get there. As you're getting to Ezekiel 28, guess what's happening here? Well, Ezekiel's talking about the king of Tyre. But then he shifts focus. And he's no longer talking about the king of Tyre anymore. It's very strange. I also find it strange that in Isaiah chapter 14, verse 12 is where this change happens. The obvious sudden shift to Lucifer happens at verse 12 of Isaiah 14. It happens again at verse 12 of Ezekiel 28. Very strange. Very strange, verse 12, right? 12's 12. Okay. Ezekiel chapter 28, verse 12. Look at it. Before this verse, he was talking about the actual king of Tyre and all the. Okay. Look at verse 12. Son of man, not Jesus. It's not Jesus. That's not what it's talking about. Son of man is also a term used uh, by Jews, right? For it's not Jesus. Let's clear that up. I'll get into that in a moment, the Son of Man thing, but it's not talking about Jesus. It's also not capitalized. Anyway, verse 12, take up lamentation upon the king of Tyrus, and say unto them, thus saith the Lord God, thou sealest up the sum full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. The king of Tyre is full of wisdom and perfect in beauty. He seals up the sum of all those things. That's not a person. This is Lucifer. How do you know that? Because verse 13, thou hast been in Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone was thy covering, the sardis, topaz, diamond, beryl, onyx, the jasper, the sapphire, the emerald, the carbuncle, gold, the workmanship of thy tabrets, and of thy pipes was prepared in the day that thou wast created. Listen, he was the most beautiful creature Jesus made. He was perfect. I think here and then there's other things that say that like his hands and like his body is like horns and like he's like instruments. There's conjecture that he leads or he led prayer in heaven before his fall. Right? Some very strange things about Lucifer. It's very strange. Look, thou, verse 14, thou art the anointed cherub that covereth, and I have set thee so. Thou wast upon the holy mountain of God, and thou hast walked up and down in the midst of the stones of fire. King of Tyre never did that. What's a cherub? It's the highest angel. He's a shooting. Yeah, it's the highest of the angels. And they are like super angels. And he was the leader of all the cherubs. He's in charge of them all. Yes, he's above the archangel Michael, which, as far as we know, there's only one archangel, that's Michael. He is above Michael. He is not, he is more powerful than Michael. We get that from when Michael stands upon Moses' body and will not let Satan take the body. And it says Michael dare not give him any accusation or anything because he knows I'm outmatched here. But he says, let God rebuke you. Okay, so keep this in mind. This is all very strange. Now, verse 15, 16, 17, 18, and 19. Let's read it. Thou wast perfect in thy ways from the day thou wast created, till iniquity was found in thee. By the multitude of thy merchandise they had filled the midst of thee with violence, and thou hast sinned. Therefore I will cast thee as profane out of the mountain of God, and I will destroy thee, O covering cherub, from the midst of the stones of fire. Thine heart was lifted up because of thy beauty. Thou hast corrupted thy wisdom by reason of thy brightness. I will cast thee into the ground. I will cast thee to the ground. I will lay thee before the kings that they may behold thee. Thou hast defiled the sanctuaries by the multitudes of thine iniquities, by the iniquity of thy traffic. Therefore I will bring forth a fire from the midst of thee, it shall devour thee. I will bring thee to ashes upon the earth in the sight of them all that behold thee. Last verse. And they that know me, and they that know thee among the people shall be astonished at thee that thou shalt be a terror, and never shalt thou be any more. Okay? Now, these two things we just covered, I mentioned, or are not I mentioned, but they're being mentioned through my study because we're seeing this kind of dual application situation going on. It's a layered thing. Got to dig a little deeper, you find another layer. That's what you're seeing with Job and this behemoth thing and the Leviathan. Right? There's these spiritual applications definitely going on in Isaiah and Ezekiel, but is this also the case with Job? I'd argue yes, because we have beasts in Isaiah, in Ezekiel, in Daniel, in Zechariah, and in Revelation. You have beasts that are being used as spiritual applications. Okay. For example, you don't have to go there, but just real quick, for example, I'm going to read you the first verse of Isaiah 27. Listen. In that day, the Lord with his sword and great and strong sword shall punish Leviathan, the piercing serpent, even Leviathan, that crooked serpent. And he shall slay the dragon that is in the sea. Oh, poor dinosaur. Oh, this is a future thing that's yet to happen. It's referring to Satan. By the way, this dragon that's in the sea, dragon that's in the sea, dragon that's in the sea. I'm saying it. Listen. Now listen. So make your actually just stay there. 'Cause I'm gonna have you go to another place. So here we go. We're gonna wrap this up. Hopefully this is enjoyable. I think this is cool. Now, what we have here. Um, behemoth in the Hebrew, beasts, plural. It could be that it's what it's referring to as like, all right, hold on. Yeah, behemoth, beasts, right? It's plural in the Hebrew. Maybe it's referring to like land beasts lumped together, or it could be one specific huge beast from back in the day, like maybe a brachiosaurus, a long neck. I don't know, or some other. I don't know. I don't know. It doesn't matter. But it's a real animal, and God's giving it a strange spiritual application. But He really gives one to the Leviathan. He really okay. So Leviathan means the folded one, as one that is twisted or folded like a serpent, coiled up, right? And it's also called the dragon that is in the sea, right? Now, here in Job, God is talking about these two super animals, one on land, one on the sea. Okay. Go to Revelation chapter 13. Go to Revelation chapter 13. Okay. Okay. Now, look at this. Revelation chapter 13. There are two beasts here. And where do they rise from? Look at this. Verse 1. And I stood upon the sand of the sea and saw a beast rise up out of the sea, having the 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns 10 crowns, and upon his head the name of blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like unto a leopard, and his feet were like the feet of a bear, and its mouth as the mouth of a lion. And the dragon gave him power, and the dragon gave him power. Okay, hold on to that. The dragon gave him power and his seat and great authority. Okay, now, and verse 3, and I saw one of his heads, right, the beast that came out of the sea, as it were wounded to death, and the deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. And they worshipped the dragon. Leviathan, listen, Leviathan, the dragon, Leviathan, the dragon, Satan. I'm saying this, keep this in mind. And they worshiped the dragon, which gave power unto the beast. So the dragon, or Satan, gives power unto this beast, this specific man from this set of kingdoms gets special power, but he's wounded to death and he's healed. So he's killed and looks like he's resurrected. He's trying to be like God, like Jesus. Okay, now look. Now, look at verse. I'm not going to keep going. Look at verse 11. Oh, and I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. And he had 2 horns like a lamb, and he spake as a dragon. And he exerciseth all the power of the first beast before him, the one from the sea. And he causeth the earth and them that which dwell therein to worship the first beast, the one from the sea, the dragon as well, right? Whose deadly wound was healed. Okay, listen, go back to chapter 12. Dragon, what are you talking about? Ian, how's it Satan? Go to Revelation 12. Go one chapter back. Excuse me. All right. Verse 3. Oh, I'm sorry. Verse 9. Verse 9 of chapter 12. Verse 9 of Revelation 12. Verse 9 of Revelation 12. Read it. And the great dragon was cast out, that old serpent called the devil and Satan, which deceiveth the whole world. He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. Okay. The next chapter, 13, says that the dragon, well, what dragon is it referring to? This dragon. This is who it's talking about. In chapter 13, it told you that the dragon, well, who's the dragon? It's the serpent, the called the devil, Satan. He gives power to the first beast that come, right? You see what I'm saying? Now these beasts that are coming out of the sea and the earth, these are not literal creatures. They are definite symbolisms of, okay, we're going to get into that in a moment, actually. But look, Satan's job is to be an accuser, okay? Keep this in mind. That's all he does. Accuse, accuse, accuse. And he's accusing believers. He doesn't accuse non-believers. He doesn't. Khamenei's dead. How you doing down there? He was not accused. He was already doomed. So God didn't have to worry about him. He will accuse Scott. He will accuse Ian. Right? Now, listen. We're not going to go there. Read Matthew 18 and reference this in your brain. You're not supposed to be accusing brothers publicly. Terrible, terrible thing to do. Disgusting. Satan is the accuser. Don't do Satan's work. Now, I'm not talking when I sit here on this chat or to his face and say Joel Osteen is a false teacher and Kenneth Copeland is a false teacher. They are teaching demonic doctrine. Very different. I don't know for sure, but I don't think they're brothers. So I don't consider them that because of what they teach. But who am I? I'm a nobody. But what I will tell you is I won't do that to Scott. Not publicly. If he's doing something he shouldn't be doing, take him aside privately, talk to him. I would expect the same from him to me because he knows that I'm a believer and I know he is. Do you see what I'm saying? This is very different than, sorry, than accusing publicly. With that, there are many good brothers and sisters, but mostly brothers because this is mostly a men thing that this happens because in a normal church environment, the men are the leads. So we have great pastors and stuff that have written books, and they will write books against satanic taught doctrines. And the good ones don't attack Judy, they attack what she's teaching because they will still give her the respect that. I'll give you an example. I'm going to give you an example. I don't know. I don't know, but like John MacArthur is super famous, beloved. I don't necessarily have an issue with John MacArthur. He is a Calvinist. He does think that you can lose salvation, if I recall, and he also thinks that you're predestined to be saved. I disagree. That's not true. You cannot lose salvation. And you're not predestined because then that means doesn't matter. We're not going to get into all that. Do I think he's a believer in Jesus Christ? Yes, I do. So I consider him a brethren. Now he has a really crappy doctrine. And then again, I don't know because I don't know everything, and I definitely don't know this book. I can hear people in the background. Well, I would argue if he even is a brother in Christ, if he's teaching such a demonic doctrine, because he should know. Not for me to decipher, but I will give him that respect based off his testament that I see him. Do you understand what I'm saying? Kenneth Copeland, Joel Osteen, who's that one Dimbo? Joyce Meyer. I will, no, 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 all day. I will call you out by name and don't care. Don't care. So my point is, don't do Satan's work. Don't be the accuser. Ha-satan in Hebrew means the accuser. Do not do that. Now, notice how Satan is allowing this stuff to happen to Job. Oh, sorry, God. God's allowing this to happen to Job, right? But Job's been doing pretty well, right? All things considered, being a human. But we've been able to see how Job, through the process of this, his perceptions are changing. And he's learning and he's progressing. He's doing a great sanctification walk, if you will, although he's not sanctified, but you get what I mean. And he's continually being corrected. But this isn't exclusive to Job. You could have this happen to you. In fact, Jesus let it happen to Peter. No, he didn't. Go to Luke chapter 22. Go to Luke chapter 22. Luke chapter 22. Now, Luke chapter 22. Simon Peter, right? Luke chapter 22. I want you to go to verse 31. Luke chapter 22, verse 31. Uh-oh. Peter. Verse 31. Luke chapter 22. And the Lord said, Simon, Simon, behold, Satan hath desired to have you that he may sift you as wheat. This is Jesus talking, right? Verse 32. But I have prayed for thee that thy faith not fail. And when thou art converted, strengthen thy brethren. Wait. What? He did not say, Satan tried to get you and I didn't let him. Somebody said. He said, I prayed for your faith. Stand strong. Don't curse God. Right? So, a couple things I want to mention. Number one, this could happen to you in your life. It may has happened to you in your life. Don't really know. I would argue it's better to not have this happen. Ooh, you follow that Holy Spirit, you follow that book, and you do, you're less likely to have this happen. I'm not saying it won't. I'm just saying this is rough. I would not want to deal with Satan being allowed to listen. That said, Satan. It did not say a demon, a devil. It said Satan. Satan directly is jacking with Job. Can Satan be jacking with Scott right now and me? Not at the same time because he's not omnipresent. He would have to go however you see what I'm saying? To and fro like a lion, seeing who can devour. So my point is, whoa, Man, I hope God doesn't let, man, I hope God don't let Satan want to get a hold of me. And if he does, I hope that I can, I can do the right thing, pull my head out of my rear. But here's the other thing. Again, I want to make the point. Listen, he doesn't pray to not let the trial happen. He prays for him to be triumphant, so to speak, that his faith doesn't totally die out. Jesus, Jesus is doing what for a human being? A man? He's praying to the Father. Interesting. So then he tells Peter, when you're from, listen, Peter, when you're out of that, because it's he's telling you, he says that to him at the Last Supper, I believe. He's telling him, which by the way, I think is also linked to the 3 times he denies Jesus. I can't imagine the turmoil he goes in after all that for however long that took. But then, man, so, but he says, hey, man, when you get out of that, Peter, when you come back, strengthen the brethren with your experience, right? Haven't I told you guys going through some trials, going through some tribulations, all these things? Maybe you needed to go through the death of your own child. Maybe you needed to go through a bankruptcy, whatever that case may be, a divorce, moving by yourself, being whatever the case may be. Use it, right? Listen, you want to get really cool? Jesus told you, I'm praying for Simon that your faith doesn't fail. Okay, why can't we fail in believers? As believers in Jesus Christ, you can't fail. How's that? Who is the accuser? Satan. Okay, so you're in a jury right now. You're standing there on the podium. The Father is right there. Satan accusing, accusing. He only accuses brethren, brothers and sisters. He's accusing, accusing. He is the prosecutor. I ain't worried about you, Buster. I got the defense lawyer. Jesus Christ. He's the defender. What? Go to Hebrews chapter 7. Go to Hebrews chapter 7. You know this. You've been there. You guys went through Hebrews with this? Go to Hebrews chapter 7. It's in the New Testament. What? How is this a thing, Ian? Hebrews chapter 7. I mean, I'm telling you, we've heard it before, but let this resonate and understand what this means. Let it sink in. Hebrews chapter 7, verse 25. Thus saith the Lord God, when I shall have gathered the house of Israel from the people among whom they are scattered, and shall be sanctified in them in the sight of the heathen. I'm sorry, I'm in Ezekiel. Sorry. Hebrews chapter 7, verse 25. So sorry. Hebrews chapter 7, verse 25. I'm in the right book. Wherefore he is able to save them to the uttermost. Jesus is able to save them to the uttermost that come unto God by him, seeing he ever liveth to make intercession for them. Jesus, at all times, is sitting on the throne, praying to make intercession for you, because you're a Peter. Even things you don't know about. How cool is that? The Holy Spirit is doing the same thing back to the Father on your behalf. You have a God that's praying for you. I don't want to believe in the Bible. I mean, I'm getting emotional. I don't want to believe in the Bible because it's stupid. Okay. Every other God in every other language is like, come to, not ours. Ours is like, I'm going to die. I'll fix this. Here's how I'll fix it. Okay. Go to First John chapter 2. First John chapter 2. First John chapter 2. My little children, these things write I unto you, that ye sin not. And if any man sin, we have an advocate. What is an advocate, bud? What is an advocate? An advocate is a person who publicly supports, defends, or recommends a particular cause, policy, or a person, right? He's a champion for you. Well, who's your advocate? Jesus. Who's he advocating for? Me. Who's he advocating against? The accuser. Don't be an accuser. We have an advocate with the Father. Oh, our advocate is with the Father? Yeah, he's with the Father and he's advocating to the Father. Who is it? It's Jesus Christ. And furthermore, he is a propitiation for our sins, not for ours only, but the world. Hold on, I'm listening. Amen. That's what I want to hear out there in the back. I hear it. Now listen, we're up this up here. 10 minutes, we'll be done. And we'll be done with this. We'll go on to the last chapter next time. I mean, if that doesn't get you encouragement right now, especially in what's going on, I don't know. Go for a walk or something. Put some spit some water on your face, go for a walk, take a hot shower, do something. So we talked about this anointed cherub, the Nahak, I don't know how to say it. I'm not Hebrew, not Jewish. Right? Genesis 3, the shining one, the serpent. We saw that these two animals are tangible. They're real. Why? Because God's telling you that they are, and He's describing them. They were not beautiful euphemisms. And okay, listen, because we're gonna go a third layer. We went through the first layer of this real animal, that second layer of this spiritual thing, and then okay, listen. So we have these two animals, a very real tangible thing, but then it seems like God is definitely is. Not seems, but that could be wrong. It seems like he's alluding to a satanic element. There's a spiritual element in this element with these two animals, the behemoth and Leviathan, satanic, right? But there might be a third thing. Ponder this. Ponder this third thing. When you go back and reread about the behemoth, everything he does is very self-sufficient, right? Reread it, right? When we read that verse in Hebrew, in verse 19 about the chief of God's works, it's kind of hard because again, Hebrew's a complex language, and taking it out of Hebrew into English makes a problem. However, Job in and of itself is very colorful and beautiful. So another way to put verse 19 of chapter 40 of Job, about him being the chief, let's put it in a different way. This is from another Bible, the New English Bible, I think. Verse 19 could read the behemoth, right? He is the chief of God's works, made to be a tyrant over his peers. Okay. So this animal has a desire to rule over all. And I mentioned that he's very self-sufficient. He's very self-confident, like, right? A tyrant is, a ruler is. He's very self-sufficient and he's very self-centered. That's your flesh. I can do it. I'm not worried about it. I got this. I got it, God. I don't know worry about it. That's your flesh. You're very self-sufficient. You're very self-confident. You're very self-centered. You will choose you over me every time. It really boils down. You're going to. You're going to choose you over your own kids. You do a lot. That's just the flesh. Oh, I'll die for my kids. Okay, cool. But like, I can name a million times you chose yourself over your kids because I do it still. You see what I'm saying? It's our flesh. Could this behemoth be another little nod to that? And a third little layer? Job, because he's talking to Job. He's telling him stuff, right? He's digging deep. Okay, so listen. When you're reborn because of Jesus Christ by the Holy Spirit, you are literally given a new creation and a new birth. So this no longer is a thing. Go to John, go to First John. Hold on, hold on. It's either First John or John 1. Give me 1 second. Yes. Go to John chapter 1. John chapter 1. Matthew, Mark, Luke, John. It's the first four gospels. Go to John chapter 1. So maybe your flesh is this behemoth in a way, self-centered, self-reliant, self-confident. I can do this. God, I got this. Do you? Okay. We'll see. John chapter 1, verse 11 says, He came unto his own, God came unto his own. Humans? Yeah, but specifically the Jews, and his own received him not. They did not receive him. The Jews rejected him. But as many as received him, but to those who did receive Jesus, right? Verse 12, to them gave he power to become the sons of God, even to them that believe on his name. Talking about Jesus. Okay, wait a minute. Sons of God. Remember, I told you in the earlier Job studies that the sons of God refers to direct creations of God. Adam is a son of God because he was from God. You are not if you are an unbeliever, right? The whole unbelieving world is just the son of Adam. When they become a believer in Jesus Christ and they're made anew, they are baptized, they are reborn, right? Not baptized, literal spiritual baptism. When they're reborn and they're given the new creation, new birth, like this book tells you, they become again direct creations of God. You're called a son of God because that is you in Jesus Christ. Amen. I have been fully restored. Thank you. Leviathan. Let's cover him real quick. Got 7 minutes. So we kind of talked about what maybe this other scratching layer of behemoth is. What about the Leviathan? And these are just possibilities. It doesn't mean that these are things. This is beyond the real animal and the spiritual thing that is Leviathan, right? The Leviathan beholds all things and is the king over the children of pride. Okay. Go to the book of Revelation, chapter 20. Something very interesting is going on. Revelation, chapter 20. Okay. Revelation, verse 20. Revelation chapter 20, verse 1 says, And I saw an angel come from heaven, having the key of the bottomless pit and the great chain and a great chain in his hand. And he laid hold on the dragon, that old serpent, which is the devil and Satan. It's making Jesus or John is explaining this, so you were never going to not understand that this Leviathan, the serpent, the dragon, it's Satan. Okay. So what happens? It's chained up and locked and bound for 1,000 years. Then what happens? Verse 3, the angel casts the dragon into the bottomless pit and shut him up and set a seal upon him. And he should deceive the nations no more till the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. And after that, he must be loosened a little season. Listen, when the second coming of Jesus Christ happens, this happens. How do you know? It says, verse 3, to the 1,000 years should be fulfilled. Okay. Jesus Christ, when he comes back at the second coming, which is very soon, this is coming, he will physically, really, actually rule on earth. The entire earth in the creation will be remade. It'll be perfect. There will not be issues. There won't be common colds. There won't be illnesses. There won't be war, no famines, nothing. There is still death, but I don't want to go through all that. But there will be people that were left on earth after the 7 year tribulation that went through all this stuff with the book of Revelation that will see the second coming. Now, look, it just told you Satan, the devil, is in the pit. Okay? So when Jesus reigns on the earth during the millennium, it's only he's not contending in the world with Satan. It's perfect. Okay? It told you that Satan is in the pit. Creation is made anew. He's not contending with evil anymore. And the Bible tells you that the people, now listen, when the second coming happens, all people instantaneously around the globe get full knowledge. It tells you this. You know all. You know that's Jesus. You know he's God. You have full knowledge, everything. And people will still reject Jesus Christ. And it tells you during that time, if they reject, eventually they will just be put to death. That's their punishment for not accepting him as the king. Well, that seems kind of harsh. No, it doesn't. They have free will. They also have full knowledge. Listen, they have full knowledge of everything and they will still reject him. And Satan isn't even on the earth to cause the problem. That shows you how worthless human flesh is and how evil we are. Wake up to that reality. That's a fact. Now, at the start of the millennium, remember there's the dragon, Satan, who just got cast into the pit, but then there's these two other characters, an unholy trinity, if you will. The beast, which is the Antichrist, and then there's the false prophet. They're cast down into the lake of fire. Those are the two beasts of Revelation 13. They're cast down into the lake of fire. But Satan isn't. He's put into the abyss. After the 1,000 year millennial reign of Jesus Christ, he leaves with us. We go. He is unbound. He's let loose a little bit longer for one final push against the Jews in Israel. Then finally, God will end it all and it will be completely done forever. That's when Satan, the dragon, is thrown into the lake of fire. Very interesting. Now, he joins them in the lake of fire. It lets you know that. And it tells you this is forever. So keep in mind that people who teach, oh, when you go to hell, you just perish and you're dead. No. Listen, if you have a friend or anybody in your life that does not believe what I'm about to say, you need to pray for them. Even if they're a non-believer and they think, oh, it just doesn't matter. I'm going to go there and just burn anyway and I'll just die. And I won't even know. That's not true. Can you imagine a literal forever with no hope? Now, let me tell you what that means. Are you sick? Like anything? Could you have a broken arm, a cancer, um, I mean, COVID? I mean, some of you have been really sick, but when you're laying in bed at night, you're still like, okay, no, this won't be too long. I'll get better. What is that? That's hope. Oh man, I lost my job. Things aren't going so well. Me and my wife are fighting. Might lose the house. But things can turn around. I got an interview tomorrow. That's hope. Rejectors of Jesus Christ will go to a place of you do not even want to imagine it. I can't explain it to you because I can't imagine it, but it's hopeless. You will be there 10 million years and you will not be there one day closer to the end. Like, I only got to go another 10 million years and I'll get out. That's hope. You, I'm only going to serve 20 million years there, as bad as that is, 20 million years, but I know I'm eventually going to get out. That's hope. That is not a thing with hell. It is eternal forever. Like it or not, humans are an eternal being. That where they spend eternity differs. Keep this in mind. If you want a really good sermon about that, I have one. Message me and I'll send it to you. Unbelievable. The reality is that the dragon that we're dealing with, Satan, he really does exist way more ways than we can even imagine, and it's scarier than any dinosaur that we can or cannot see. And the fact is that that dragon is already sealed. And if you don't believe me, read Revelation and read the Old Testament prophecies. His fate is sealed. Eternity in hell. Why? Because of an empty tomb in Jerusalem. If there is no empty tomb in Jerusalem, you don't have hope. That's why we have hope. That's why we have faith. Thank you, empty tomb in Jerusalem. Thank you for raising yourself from the dead, Jesus Christ. We're so happy. Now, let's finish. Oh, man. Let's keep going because we did kind of start a little late. I can finish this up. It's almost done. I want you to go back. Oh, wait, no. I want you guys to go to Revelation 17. Okay? Now, go to Revelation 17. Do you remember how I mentioned to you that could be that behemoth, this third little layer is your flesh, maybe? What if Leviathan is the world system, on top of it being literal Satan and spiritual, right? But what if it's even more so, deeper layer, the world system? Well, how do I mean? Okay, hold on. Just hear me out real quick. You're at Revelation 17. That's where I want you to be, but just listen to what I'm going to tell you. Job, don't go there. Stay at Revelation. Saves us time. Job chapter 41. Let me reread 1 through 6. Can thou draw out Leviathan with a hook, or his tongue with the cord which thou lettest down? Canst thou put a hook into his nose, or bore his jaw through with a thorn? Will he make many supplications unto thee? Will he speak soft words unto thee? Will he make a covenant with thee? Will thou make him for a servant forever? Will thou play with him as with a bird? Will thou bind him with maidens? Right, listen. So this thing, Leviathan, in this context, is this actual animal. You can't bargain with it, right? But you're in Revelation chapter 17, right? So listen, the Leviathan that's in the water, this serpent, this dragon, right? What if he is this world system? Okay, well, hold on. Hold on. Read, you're in Revelation 17, you're in Revelation chapter 17, read verse 1. And there came one of seven angels which had the seven vials, and talked with me, and saying unto me, Come hither, I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. Now, this is the harlot, Mystery Babylon. This is the world system. Okay. Now, if you go back, we're not going to, but in Job chapter 41 about the Leviathan, it tells you he is unconquerable. He cannot be defeated. He is an animal that can very easily defend himself. He is well defended. He is well entrenched, and he cannot be overthrown. And his key attribute is pride. Okay. And he, listen, dwells in this water, right? Well, this great whore is riding many waters. What does that mean? That's weird. Go to verse 17. I'm sorry, verse 15 of this chapter, Revelation 17, verse 15. Look, and he saith unto me, The waters which thou sawest where the whore sitteth are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. This is interesting. Seems to be a lot going on that God is teaching Job. So this is where we're ending this. Job is starting to get a lot more awareness. The very things, the very things that Job has in his own heart and life, and all these forces that can factor it, he can't even control it. So who is he to say anything to the one who can, right? So Job is getting a hint that this issue that he's having, it's not a failure of his deeds. God's telling him this isn't a failure of your deeds. You're righteous. It's not a sin problem. You don't have any misdeeds. This is a problem that's embedded in your very nature, and you're not even aware of it. And it's destroying him. And this is what God deals with every single person, Job. So before you start accusing me, Job, yeah. So this ends that. We'll finish the book next week. Um, Give me 1 second, Scott. I saw your message. So let me tell you something. There's a pastor around Ben Franklin's time. Give me a second. I think of the name. Um, Now there's a pastor back in the day with. Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second because I want to make sure that I have those right things. I don't want to give you the wrong one. Um, so this guy, John Edwards, back with Benjamin Franklin, he was a pastor. Amazing, brilliant. He's one of our like greatest minds um, in um, in American history, right? He was part of a big revival in his time, teaching amazing doctrine. And what he did was, at this particular time, he is in New Hampshire, I think Concord, New Hampshire. And he gives a sermon on um, basically unbelievers going to hell. And it's so powerful that as he's doing it, there's accounts of like the basically most of the church, if not all of it, just breaking out into wailing and weeping and like lamenting this, like, oh my goodness, terrified, fearing the Lord, which they should. There was also reports of people in the town, not even at the church, but just falling to their knees in worship, coming to Jesus, like just crazy stories. I'm gonna find a video of this guy, uh, his sermons, right? Because back in the day, they had to write their sermons down. Well, they've been preserved and they've been thankfully carried on. I'm going to find the particular video that I watched with, I think, my aunt and also Jennifer separately, where it's a man reading it as he is pretending to be John Edwards, but there's background noises. It's almost like back in the day in the 40s when you would listen to the radio and it would do like the play. It's like that. It really sets the tone. It's fantastic and it is scary, this sermon. It is so scary what he says in it, but it's very powerful. Thankfully, you don't have to deal with it, but watch it if you feel compelled and send it to people that there are believers that don't think devil doesn't even exist. I mean, this is just crazy. Doesn't matter. I'll find it. I'll post it on this chat, this site. Um, Yeah. So real quick, I'm gonna say a prayer, and if you guys have questions or anything, ask in there, or you can call me. We'll chat. So let's do a quick prayer. Father, thank you for another great session. I mean, you just every time you do this for me and for us, you knock it out of the park. You do a great job leading me with the Holy Spirit and guiding my dumb brain. I'm so grateful, so thankful. Thank you for keeping us focused and thankfully nothing going on. I do want to take a detour because Father, the world is it's at a serious turning point. I think anybody that is a believer that does not believe that, wake them up. This isn't just another run of the mill thing going on. This is Psalm 83 per T. This is Jeremiah 49. I mean, this is coming. This is on the way. I ask God, it's hard to know who to pray for, but I can think of one group of people that deserve it, and that's the innocent people. Preserve those innocent people, Lord, especially ones that haven't come to you. Please, Lord, if it's in your will, give them some extra time. Let them see that your judgment is coming. That's why Iran is having what's happening to them happen. Let these people wake up. Let there be an amazing revival. Those that are already saved in you, Lord, they're already saved. And if you decide to let them stay around longer, then so be it. But if you take them, then you take them. And I'm happy for them to be with you. And please, I'm really heartbroken for these innocent people that are being killed by us indiscriminately. Maybe bombs. We're not targeting them, but they can be around and get killed. Or Iran, who is seemingly indiscriminately bombing it's 8 nations they bomb. There's innocent people that have nothing to do with this being killed, Lord, and likely because they're in the Middle East, they don't know you. They've rejected you. Please give them more time. Give them more time, God. I know you're going to watch over Israel. I know you're going to protect them. I'm also thankful, Lord, that you have given America the time for the last 200 plus years to become as mighty as we are because it allowed the world to have peace relative and security. And we were able to project some sort of goodness onto the world with our might. And now, Lord, please, if it's your will, let America do one last good thing. Because we've done nothing but bad things last X, I don't even know. But let us do one more good thing with your will, and that's help protect your nation of Israel. Not that you need the help, but use us as a tool, God. Use it as a tool. I'm very proud of what you're doing, Lord. It sounds weird to say, but I'm proud. And I'm very proud to be a part of this, proud to see it unfolding. I want everyone in this conversation, everyone's going to hear it, to not be fearful. There's nothing to fear. You are in Jesus Christ. If you die tonight, you are in heaven. Instantly, the moment you die. Have no fear. We will see you guys later. If you pass away, I'll see you later, man. So don't let us have hearts of fear, Lord. Everyone in this chat, God, give us Ephesians 6. We should be standing shoulder to shoulder, literal battle warriors, ready to go. Standing for truth, denying vile doctrines. I'll take getting spit in my face. Fine. The world wants to spit in my face. It doesn't matter. I will stand up for the truth. Let us be brave for you. Let us be ready to fight for you spiritually and physically, I guess, if we have to, but mostly spiritually. These things in your name, Lord. Thank you for Jesus. Thank you so much. Amen. So, yeah, guys, if you got questions, ask. Scott, I'm glad that you really like this. It sounds like this was it's it's cool. I mean, like, what does he say? It's stinking cool, man. And I can't believe like the Bible's boring. Yeah, what did you read? Numbers or Deuteronomy? Like, yeah, I get it. And not to like be kind of disrespectful to the Lord's word. It's all relevant, it's perfect. But like, yeah, I get it. Like, yeah, if you read Numbers, you'd be like, oh, what's going on here? Well, why don't you read Job? Why don't you read some Revelation? Get into Ezekiel, hit up Isaiah, get into Ezra, get into Ruth. I mean, this book will blow your mind, man. This thing, you can't beat it. Nothing, the whole world tries to beat it. They cannot beat it. Like, I'm gonna tell you guys something else. A guy on my team found a video on YouTube. It's like free right now. It's a 4-part thing. I'm gonna double check what it's called. But basically, it's about like Genesis, and it's all these like super high-end scholars from all over. Think of them. I think some might be believers, some may not be believers. I don't know, but they're coming together and they're like trying to rip apart Genesis, and they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is all right, and it's real." And this guy was watching it. And he's like, "I know that maybe you kind of like to read the Bible, and I am going to share the cartoon for Jack Hibbs. Specifically, I wanted to watch it with my aunt in specific, but I will share. Give me a second. I'll share with you guys all right now the cartoon from Jack Hibbs, but I want to watch with my with aunt. One second. There's a short. There we go. Okay, sorry guys. Sorry. I think I hit. I lost signal for a second, but I'm back in black. Okay. Uh, so this is an Academy Award animated short film. Watch it. Um, Here's the short film. So watch this video, but then after you watch the video, watch Jack Hibbs. He does an interview with the men that created this. It's crazy. These guys work for Disney. Really know we have some insider threats in there. There's Jesus. So we'll go with that. The second thing is, okay, well, one second. I'm going to find Listen, guys, sorry. I'm kind of doing this kind of like weird. So let's see if I can find the all right. So this is the sermon from Jonathan Edwards about hell. It's called Sinners in the Hands of an Angry God. Man, it's scary. So there's some links for you guys. I think when I close this, it's going to get rid of these links. Um, so if you're unable to partake, message me personally. I'll find them and resend them to you. But I'm pretty sure when I close this, when I go non-live, that it's going to turn the chat off. What is this thing? I don't know. I don't even know if you guys can still stream anymore. It looks like I have an error up top. Save them to your. Okay, yeah. I'm gonna add them to a. I'm gonna add them to the post. To like a post. Yeah. Um. I mean, guys, this is great. Um. I guess we'll wrap it up here. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I know you did. It seems like it was well received. I don't know what book we'll do next, but you know what? It doesn't matter. I'm kind of just letting the wind blow it around. Where we go, not like that. The wind doesn't make that noise. I don't know why it went, but wherever the Holy Spirit blows this man, we'll go there. Um, yeah, I'm glad that I'm just glad, guys. This has been 3 years in the making. And here we are. It's cool. Now we got this channel. Um, yeah, so I'll talk to you guys later. And I'll for those of you if I don't talk to you, I'll talk to you next week. And yeah, if you need anything, message me. I'll be around. Probably gonna be busy. But yeah. Talk to you guys later.